Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. We are reading today from Bhagavad Gita, from chapter 18. Chapter 18 and on text 26. We had read till text 25 last time. So we are going to read text 26. And chapter 18 is actually more like a summary of the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is repeating a few important points again. So would somebody like to read the Sanskrit?
I can read.
Okay.
Muktasango aham vadi dhrutyutsaha samanvitah siddhaya asiddhayo nirvikara karta satvika uchyate.
So one who performs his duty without association with the modes of material nature, without false ego, with great determination and enthusiasm, and without wavering in success or failure, is said to be a worker in the mode of goodness. A person in Krishna consciousness is always transcendental to the material modes of nature. He has no expectations for the result of the work entrusted to him because he's above false ego and pride. So now for us, we are always like, why should I do something? You know, only because I'm going to receive something out of it, then only we are willing to do something, you know. Otherwise, we don't want to do anything. But here Krishna is saying that no, you do your duty. You do your duty without any expectation of the result. And do your duty for my pleasure, without any false ego and pride, because so many times we get proud. Oh, I'm doing it. You know, it's because of me I'm able to do this work. Just see how great I am. We say that to ourselves, but Krishna is saying, no, don't think that. Still, he is always enthusiastic till the completion of such work. He does not worry about the distress undertaken. He's always enthusiastic. He does not care for success or failure. He's equal in both distress and happiness. Such a worker is situated in the mode of goodness. Now, why is Krishna saying all this? Why is he saying that? Don't worry, it's sometimes you have to put in a lot of effort. And so, you know, you'll be tired, or there's so much energy or thinking or so much anxiety to be taken. But Krishna is saying, doesn't matter. You still do your duty in a manner in which you're not going to get attached to the work you're doing, and also attached to the result. And if we are acting in this way, he's saying then we are acting in the mode of goodness. Krishna never says that don't do your work. He says always do. Whatever you are supposed to do, you do it. That's the whole Bhagavad Gita premise. Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna didn't want to fight. He didn't want to do his duty. But Krishna is saying, you do your duty, but do it for my pleasure. And do it thinking that you are not the doer. Now, why is he saying that? It's because after all, we are not this body, you know, we are the soul. We are spirit souls inside this body. And the only thing we do in the body is desire. Whereas the capability, the intelligence is all given by Krishna. Also the materials that we are using to to do our duty, it's all given by Krishna. We are not creating anything. Sure, we are using our energy, but that energy also Krishna gives, you know. You know, sometimes we are so tired that even though we want to do so many things and have so many things to do, we just can't get up. So the energy also actually comes from Krishna. So Krishna is saying, you do your duty, but you be equal. Don't get so involved in becoming very happy in one situation and becoming very distressed in another. Because happiness and distress will come. It will come. But if our feelings, our emotions get so involved in each circumstance, then we are going to forget the higher cause. We are going to forget Krishna, and we are just going to get entangled in the act that we are doing. Is that okay?
No attachment to work, you said, not attachment to result, and then attachment to work. Can you give an example for attachment to work? Like, you know,
No,
कि
Krishna,
मैं कर रहा हूँ.
yeah, Krishna is saying, don't do that. Don't be so attached. He's saying, you do your duty, whatever your
No,
duty.
like, how do we get attached to the work? Like,
Oh, well,
I'm just asking. Yeah.
because, I'm so great. I'm so good in doing these things, you know. And for example, if I'm, say, cooking, I'm so great in making this dish. And so I'm so attached to making it. You know, we do get attached. And so this is what is going to keep us here. But if
Okay.
work, if we are going to do it, I'm good at it because Krishna is giving me the ability to do it. And let me offer the result to Krishna. Then slowly, then we will not get attached to doing that work, you know, because after all, we are souls. We don't need to be here. We don't need to be doing the things that we are doing. We have to get out of here. But because of these attachments and desires, which are there in the subtle body, we keep taking so many lives, you know. Like there are certain musicians, they're born 3-4 lives. Because they love the music so much, they're so attached to it that they keep coming as musicians to improve their practice, improve their music. And that's attachment to the work. Is that okay? Yes?
Yes, perfectly fine. Thank you.
So text 27, would somebody like to read? Would you like to try?
Yeah, I'll try.
Okay.
Ragi karma phala prapsur labdho himasan mako suchi harshasho kanvita karta rajasa parikirtitah.
The worker who is attached to work and the fruits of work, desiring to enjoy those fruits, and who's greedy, always envious, impure, and moved by joy and sorrow, is said to be in the mode of passion. So all this Krishna is explaining to us so we can understand where do we stand. You know, it's not for us to judge anybody else, but for us, where am I standing and where do I want to go? So he's saying a person too much attached to a certain kind of work or to the result because he has too much attachment for materialism or earth and home, wife and children. Such a person has no desire for higher elevation in life. So just as we were just speaking a few minutes ago, that being attached to one work that we are doing, you know, we just love to do something. It could be anything. For somebody, it could be like, you know, entering data. For somebody, it could be creating something. It's so many, each of us have our different things that we like to do. Singing. So sing for the Lord. If we like to enter data for the temple or something, you know. So in that way, so that we can give up that attachment, so we don't need to keep coming again and again. He is simply concerned with making this world as materially comfortable as possible. He's generally very greedy, and he thinks that anything attained by him is permanent and never to be lost. Now, we are always thinking that whatever we have is permanent, you know. Although we have, a knowledge of it, but we don't realize it. theoretically we are able to understand, okay, everything, nothing belongs to me, it's all temporary, I have to give it up. But to realize it is another thing, you know. So such a person is envious of others and prepared to do anything wrong for sense gratification. Therefore, such a person is unclean, and he does not care whether his earning is pure or impure. He's very happy if his work is successful, and very much distressed when his work is not successful. Such is the worker in the mode of passion. So with the mode of passion comes too much attachment, attachment to work, attachment to family, attachment to our possessions. So passion signifies attachment and activity, a lot of activity. So that's passion. Then text 28, would somebody like to read that?
I can read.
Okay.
अयुक्त प्राकृत स्तब्धः शठो नैष्कृतिको लसः विषादी दीर्घसूत्री च कर्ता तामस उच्यते.
The worker who's always engaged in work against the injunctions of the scripture, who's materialistic, obstinate, cheating, and expert in insulting others, and who's lazy, always morose and procrastinating, is said to be a worker in the mode of ignorance. In the scriptural injunctions, we find what sort of work should be performed and what sort of work should not be performed. So we might say, how do I know what is good work and what is bad work? Well, if we take the trouble to find out, the scriptures mention that what work is good work and what work is not good work. For example, here in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is telling us what we should do and what we shouldn't do. Those who do not care for those injunctions engage in work not to be done, and such persons are generally materialistic. It's like, you know, if we are going to start driving in a country, we better understand the laws of the road of that country. Because if we don't follow the road laws of that country, for sure we will get ticketed and we'll get into trouble, you know, probably even in an accident or get a severe jail term, depend on the severity. Because, oh, we didn't care to find out what is the rules of the road of that particular country. For example, the driving laws are so different between Taiwan and Hong Kong. One is left-hand drive, one is right-hand drive. If we say, oh, I don't know what it is, I'm just following whatever's in my country, we'll create a havoc on the road. So they work according to the modes of nature, not according to the injunctions of the scripture. Such workers are not very gentle. And generally, they are always cunning and expert in insulting others. They are very lazy. Even though they have some duty, they do not do it properly, and they put it aside to be done later on. So our speech should be in a way that does not cause anxiety to others, which does not hurt others, which is not insulting to others. Our speech should be pleasing. It should be enthusiastic. People should feel happy after they've spoken to us. You know. So therefore they appear to be morose. They procrastinate anything which can be done in an hour. They drag on for years. Such workers are situated in the mode of ignorance. So we should try to analyze where do we stand and then try to gradually come to the mode of goodness, you know. That's a better situation to be in. Text 29.
बुद्धिर्भेदं धृतश्चैव्य गुणातस्त्रिविधं शृणु प्रोच्यमानम् अशेषेण पृथक्त्वेन धनञ्जय.
O winner of wealth, now please listen as I tell you in detail of the different kinds of understanding and determination according to the three modes of material nature. Krishna is calling Arjuna Dhananjaya, winner of wealth, because when Yudhishthir Maharaj was doing the horse sacrifice, the Ashwamedha Yajna, then Arjuna had collected a lot of wealth. for Yudhishthir, because to do all these sacrifices, actually a lot of wealth is required. So that's why Arjuna is called Dhananjaya, winner of wealth. So then different kinds of understanding and determination is also in different types of modes of nature. Now, after explaining knowledge, the object of knowledge and the knower in three different divisions according to the modes of nature, the Lord is explaining the intelligence and determination of the worker in the same way. So we can see how the modes are influencing everything of ours, our faith, our worship, or what we are eating, what we are thinking, how we are so influenced by the modes, 18.30. Please read someone.
Yeah. Pravrittincha nivrittincha karya karye bhaya bhaye bandham mokshancha ya vetti buddhi sa partha satviki.
O son of Pritha, that understanding by which one knows what ought to be done and what ought not to be done, what is to be feared and what is not to be feared, what is binding and what is liberating, is in the mode of goodness. So many times we say, oh, I don't know, what am I supposed to do? What shall I do? I don't know what is to be done. So then what can we do at that time is we can open the Bhagavad Gita and start reading. And then our answers, we will get the answers from them. And fear, we have so much fear of so many things, so much anxiety we have in the material world. We even take sleeping pills to get over our anxiety. But if we can try to take deeper shelter of Krishna, the more deeper shelter we take of Krishna, to that degree our anxiety and our fear will go away. Performing actions in terms of the directions of the scriptures is called pravritti, or executing actions that deserve to be performed. And actions which are not so directed are not to be performed. One who does not know the scriptural directions becomes entangled in the actions and reactions of work. So why does the scripture say you should do these things and you shouldn't do these things? Just so that we can live happily and comfortably in this life, peacefully in this life, and that we don't need to take another life again. We don't need to take another material body again, that we can go back to the spiritual world. That's why we are given these do's, the pravritti and the nivritti. The do's that do these things and don't do these things. As the doctor says, you take this medicine and you don't eat these foodstuffs, so that you don't need to suffer more, and then you can get cured easily. Understanding which discriminates by intelligence is situated in the mode of goodness. So we can see that if we raise ourselves to the mode of goodness, we can be more peaceful, more happier. Please read text 31.
Yatha dharma dharmam dharma adharma cha karyam chakaryameva cha ayatteva prajananti buddhi sa partha rajasi.
O son of Buddha, that understanding which cannot distinguish between religion and irreligion, between action that should be done and action that should not be done, is in the mode of passion. So many people, they try to speak about religion, that this is religious, this is not religious, and I should do this, I should not do this. But everything is if we are just speaking from our mind, our mental speculation, then that's not correct. Because then everybody's imagination is so fertile, I could imagine something and you could imagine something and we both could end up fighting. No, I'm right and I'm right. So what we have to follow is Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita tells us what is religion, what is not religion. What should be done, what should not be done. Any questions or comments till now? Anyone?
So pravritti marg and nivritti marg are the same, just like the pravritti and the nivritti, right?
Yeah,
That we mentioned.
the do's and the don'ts.
Yeah, so that's the pravritti and the nivritti marg also. Like the marg
Mark.
that we should take to
Yeah,
reach Krishna, right? Is the similar like that?
yeah. Because there is one which has a lot of material desires. We are doing a lot of material things. So on that path, then we are going to get our our journey to Krishna is going to get longer. You know, we are going to get sidetracked, right? But if we are taking the sure path of bhakti, there's no sidetrack there. So directly can go, shortcut. That's what it is.
Okay, thank you.
So would somebody like to read this? Text 32.
Yeah. अधर्मं धर्म इति या मन्यते तमसावृता सर्वार्थान् विपरीतांश बुद्धि सा पार्थतामसि.
The understanding which considers irreligion to be religion and religion to be irreligion under the spell of illusion and darkness and strives always in the wrong direction, O Partha, is in the mode of ignorance. Partha, why is Krishna calling Arjuna Partha? Because he's the son of Pritha. Kunti Devi, one of her names is Pritha, and so that's why Arjuna is also called as Partha. Intelligence in the mode of ignorance is always working the opposite of the way it should. It accepts religions which are not actually religions and rejects actual religion. We can see that it's so evident now in today's society in Kali Yuga. Most of us are in the mode of passion and ignorance. And most of us don't want to find out what is true religion. What is the truth? What is the reality? We don't want to find out. We just make up by ourselves something in our mind and we follow it, and we are trying to convince others also to follow it. Men in ignorance understand a great soul to be a common man and accept a common man as a great soul. You know, we can see that there's so many people we idolize, they'll have so many millions of followers, but what is their character? What do they stand for? Do they actually know what they are doing? So in Kali Yuga, it's all topsy-turvy. The people we should be respecting, we don't respect them enough. The people who are actually have that personality, the character, who are talking the truth, we don't care about them. Those are the pure devotees. And they are not being honored. But in fact, we are honoring people who are, you know, what are they doing? Maybe they are meat eaters. They're taking intoxication, you know. So they think truth to be untruth and accept untruth as truth. In all activities, they simply take the wrong path. Therefore, their intelligence is in the mode of ignorance. Text 33.
धृत्या यया धारयते मनः प्राणेन्द्रिया क्रिया योगेन अव्यभिचारिण्या धृति पार्थ सात्विकी.
O son of Pritha, that determination which is unbreakable, which is sustained with steadfastness by yoga practice, and which thus controls the activities of the mind, life, and senses, is determination in the mode of goodness. Yoga is means to understand the Supreme Soul. So yoga means to link with God. That is yoga. One who is steadily fixed in the Supreme Soul with determination, concentrating one's mind, life, and sensory activities on the Supreme, engages in Krishna consciousness. That sort of determination is in the mode of goodness. The word avyabhicharinya is very significant, for it indicates that persons who are engaged in Krishna consciousness are never deviated by any other activity. So why is that? Why is a person in Krishna consciousness does not get deviated to other paths? Why? Because there's nothing beyond, there's nothing higher. When somebody tastes Krishna consciousness, when somebody experiences Krishna, that's the ultimate. There's nothing higher than Krishna, you know. And then this determination is in the mode of goodness. So we should be determined hear and chant regularly every day. Maybe at our stage we don't like to do it, but as a person does not like to take the medicine but still takes it because he knows he's going to get well with it, same way we should take it because it is good for us to be situated in our true self, because we are what we are seeing. According to us, what we are seeing, what we are experiencing, what we are feeling, all this is true. It is true, but it is so temporary. And then thinking that we are the body, which is the beginning of all our misconceptions, then our whole experience is actually untrue, which we are thinking it to be true. Does that make sense? Because
Yes.
think about it. We are actually not the body, but everything, the what we are looking at, what we are perceiving, what we are feeling, what we are thinking, it's everything that, oh, I am this body. So, but our first point is wrong. So then that means everything that I'm perceiving is not true, right? That's something we have to think of. And so it's so important to continue to hear and chant, associate with the devotees every day, just so that we can understand the truth. So we can get out of this cycle of birth and death and save ourselves the misery and the anxiety and the fear. So text 34.
यया तु धर्म कामार्थान् धृत्या धारयते अर्जुन प्रसंगेन फलाकांक्षी धृति सा पार्थ राजसी.
But that determination by which one holds fast to fruitive results in religion, economic development, and sense gratification is the nature of passion, O Arjuna. Any person who's always desirous of fruitive results in religious or economic activities, whose only desire is sense gratification, whose mind, life, and senses are thus engaged, is in the mode of passion. So in mode of passion, we are very attached to the results, that I'm doing this because I'm going to get this out of it. And once I get this out of it, I'm going to be very happy. That is the mode of passion. Even doing the religious activities, many people do so many types of religious activities, that I'll do this so that I can get some result. I'm attached to the result of it. So mostly karma kanda will come in this, in the mode of passion. Text 35.
Yaya swapnam bhayam shokam vishadam madmev cha na vimuchyati durmedha dhriti sa parthatamasi.
And that determination which cannot go beyond dreaming, fearfulness, lamentation, moroseness, and illusion, such an unintelligent determination, O son of Pritha, is in the mode of darkness. It should not be concluded that a person in the mode of goodness does not dream. Here, dream means too much sleep. Dreaming is always present, either in the mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance. Dreaming is a natural occurrence. But those who cannot avoid oversleeping, who cannot avoid the pride of enjoying material objects, who are always dreaming of lording it over the material world, and whose life, mind, and senses are thus engaged, are considered to have determination in the mode of ignorance. Means we are so covered, we love to sleep, and we are just so full of ego, so full of pride that we are not able to understand anything else. That's why it's in the mode of darkness, because the covering is too strong. Our consciousness is really covered with a very, very thick layer. Then that is ignorance. And then in that condition, we are more fearful, because the darker it is, the more scared we get, right? When it's really so dark and we can't see anything. Now we don't even have experience of much darkness. Why? Because living in cities, there's always light coming out. There's street lights, there is lights coming from everywhere. But otherwise, if you actually experience darkness, it's quite fearful. Or lamentation and moroseness is also in the mode of ignorance. Lamentation for material things, is in the mode of
What are they trying to tell here by this word, the determination in the mode?
that.
Like, uh,
Hmm.
and that determination which cannot go beyond dreaming. So is it the desires?
Yeah, yeah,
The determinations are our desires, our
yeah,
wants?
yeah.
Okay.
That what we are doing, basically. Yeah, our desire. It boils to our desire. And then our actions based on what are we doing. So because everything needs determination, right? Oh, it's a determination that I want to be sad also, or I want to. I mean, it's a choice. Do I want to be sad or do I want to be happy? It's a choice. We say no,
Yes.
no, because of the circumstance I'm feeling like that. Then how is it that some people, even in all sorts of circumstance, they can be happy? And how is it that some people in all circumstance they can be sad?
Okay. So that means that if these are our desires, then we are in the mode of darkness.
Yes.
Okay.
So see how Bhagavad Gita is giving such details, so much details, into our psychology also, and is guiding us that how we should elevate ourselves to thinking properly, be happy. Krishna does not want us to be sad. He does not want us to be living sad, uh, pathetically. No, he wants us to live happily, peacefully. At the same time, he wants us to cultivate spiritual knowledge. Cultivate spiritual knowledge. That why? Just so that we don't come again to this material world. We don't get too attached to living here. That we can go back home, back to God, and live eternal life, full of bliss and joy. Text 36.
सुखं त्विदानीं त्रिविधं शृणु मे भरतर्षभ अभ्यास्याद्रमते यत्र दुःखान्तं च निगच्छति.
O best of the Bharatas, now please hear from me about the three kinds of happiness by which the conditioned soul enjoys, and by which he sometimes comes to the end of all distress. A conditioned soul tries to enjoy material happiness again and again. Thus, he chews the chewed. So, chews the chewed. You know how we chew? What does it mean? Chewing the chewed? It means like you have a chewing gum, so we chew it. Initially, it's good, right? So we chew it and chew it. Now, this chewing gum, we are throwing it somewhere, and then somebody else picks it up and says, "Let me try to chew it. Maybe there's still something left in it." And then Then that person, after chewing for some time, he feels, "Oh, there's nothing much." Then he throws it out, and somebody else picks it up and again tries to chew it. So that is called chewing the chewed. So this is how material happiness is called, chewing the chewed. Why? Because this happiness is actually so less, so little. It's like compared to a drop of ocean in the desert, whereas we are hankering for unlimited happiness. We want to be happy eternally, unlimitedly, but we get the happiness very little, that also after a lot of endeavor. But sometimes in the course of such enjoyment, he becomes relieved from material entanglement by association with a great soul. In other words, a conditioned soul is always engaged in some type of sense gratification. But when he understands by good association that it is only a repetition of the same thing, and is awakened to his real Krishna consciousness, he is sometimes relieved from such repetitive so-called happiness. So we are all going about chewing the chewed, trying to get some happiness from this, trying to enjoy our senses. Then, by some good fortune, by the mercy of a devotee, we get in touch with a devotee. And then starts our Krishna consciousness. Then, when we are starting our Krishna consciousness, then for at least during that time, hopefully, we are not engaged, our mind or senses or words are not engaged in sense gratification, but we are trying to understand about Krishna. And then at that time, we feel some bliss, we feel happiness. Is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah, looks okay.
Text 37.
Yat tad agre visham eva pariname amvatupam tata sukham satvikam proktam proktam atma buddhi prasajamah.
That which in the beginning may be just like poison, but at the end is just like nectar, and which awakens one to self-realization, is said to be happiness in the mode of goodness. In the pursuit of self-realization, one has to follow many rules and regulations to control the mind and the senses, and to concentrate the mind on the self. All these procedures are very difficult, bitter like poison. But if one is successful in following the regulations and comes to the transcendental position, he begins to drink real nectar and he enjoys life. The secret of being happy is here, you know. Although to control our mind and senses to do the correct thing is not easy. Why it's not easy? Because since millions of births, we are conditioned to doing things in a certain way. We don't want to change. Why should I change for whatever change? Millions of births I've had thinking the same way. It's just the same thing. But if we can follow the rules and regulations, follow the process of Krishna consciousness, what will happen? We will enjoy bliss. We will enjoy the nectar. We'll taste the nectar. We'll experience Krishna. And because we are experiencing Krishna, we'll enjoy life. So the mode of goodness is like that. Initially, it's very difficult to do. But once we do it, we feel good about it. Same like waking up early in the morning. We don't want to wake up. We keep snoozing our alarm, keep snoozing. But the day we actually get up on time, early, we wake up early, and we are able to do whatever we are supposed to do early in the morning, then we feel happy. You know, our mind is more relaxed, more peaceful. So mode of goodness is like that. 38.
विषयेन्द्रिय संयोगात् तत्तदग्रे मृतोपमम् परिणामे विषम इव तत्सुखं राजसं स्मृतम्.
That happiness which is derived from contact of the senses with their objects and which appears like nectar at first but poison at the end is said to be the nature of passion. A young man and a young woman meet, and the senses drive the young man to see her, to touch her, and to have sexual intercourse. In the beginning, this may be very pleasing to the senses, but at the end or after some time, it becomes just like poison. They are separated, or there's divorce, there's lamentation, there's sorrow, etc. Such happiness is always in the mode of passion. Happiness derived from a combination of the senses and the sense objects is always a cause of distress and should be avoided by all means. So this is like when we have too much desires to enjoy our senses, you know, maybe we want to see certain things, we want to taste certain things, we want to hear certain things. So initially we feel, oh, it's so good, I like it, I love it. But the more we do it, it will end in misery. It will taste like poison later. For example, we can see there's some movie we like to watch, for example. Now, if we try to watch that movie 50 times, initially we like it, but then the more we watch it, in the end we'll get so fed up, we don't want to watch it anymore, you know? It's like that. So that's the mode of passion. That initially we like to do something, but after doing it, then we don't want it anymore. Text 39.
Yat agre cha anubandhe cha sukham mohanam atmanah nidra alasya pramad uttham tad tamasam udaritam.
And that happiness which is blind to self-realization, which is delusion from beginning to end, and which arises from sleep, laziness, and illusion, is said to be in the nature of ignorance. One who takes pleasure in laziness and in sleep is certainly in the mode of darkness, ignorance, and one who has no idea how to act and how not to act is also in the mode of ignorance. For the person in the mode of ignorance, everything is illusion. There is no happiness either in the beginning or at the end. For the person in the mode of passion, there might be some kind of ephemeral happiness in the beginning and at the end distress. But for the person in the mode of ignorance, there's only distress, both in the beginning and at the end. So the mode of ignorance is with too much intoxication, illusion, laziness, sleep. So there's no happiness in the mode of ignorance because the activity itself is so deluding. So there is no happiness. In passion, at least there is some enjoyment. For example, I like to eat. So I eat. So initially I might feel, oh, nice, I'm enjoying it. It's so good. But if I overeat, then the next day I will suffer. I will have a, the stomach upset or some kind of disease will show up in that. So that's the meaning of mode of passion, that initially we are liking to do something. And because we like to do, we continue doing it so much that in the end, it just gives a distaste to us, causes us misery. I don't know if you all have had the experience, but I've had it many times in so many things that I do. Because of the mode of passion, I might like to do a certain activity and then do it, and then doing it so much, then you feel, oh my God, this is so terrible, and it creates so many problems. Why did I even do it? And yeah, any questions or comments?
No, all clear.
All clear?
Clear.
Yeah, so we heard today about the determination, about our happiness, so many things we saw in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. So we can try to get guidance from the Bhagavad Gita so that we can be happy, Mode of goodness we should try to cultivate so that we can get happy. But
Can you please give some more example for the last one?
Ignorance?
Yeah.
Ignorance is like all illicit activities. Meat eating, intoxication, gambling, illicit.
But then people have fun, like we don't have, but then people have fun in doing, right?
But then see, because if you're suppose meat eating, there is suffering. The animals, the poor animals are suffering. Right?
And the gambling?
That's why it's called happiness in the mode of ignorance. Or gambling, there is so much anxiety even in the person who's gambling. He might think he's enjoying, but there's so much anxiety there. There's money.
Will I win it or not? I'm investing so much money. Is it like that? That he's an anxiety of will I lose it or will I win? Or
yes, there's so
so
much.
Then are the sports
going on? Huh?
Are the sports also in this?
Of sports,
because then
in the mode of passion,
passion. Okay, because activity is there. Too much of activity is there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but it's happiness. That's why they're saying, and in the mode of ignorance. So the person who's doing it is thinking I'm being happy, but this is happiness in the mode of ignorance. You see, he's thinking that I'll be happy by sleeping or being lazy. I feel happy by doing that. But this is happiness in the mode of ignorance. Does that make sense?
So a person who's betting or playing some, then in the beginning also he has anxiety, and then in the end if he loses, then there is all sadness. So there is nothing. So that's ignorance, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Ignorance. Yes.
And like for the drinking, we can say that in the beginning it's also bad, and then in the end he's spoiling his health.
Yes, because see, as soon as you start drinking, what happens is our consciousness level goes, right? So our awareness goes away. Then in that way, how are we treating other people? How am I speaking to another person who's sitting with me? How am I being, because we lose that, right? We think, okay, I'm happy, but how am I behaving with another one who's sitting next to me? So we are causing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay. Thank
Yeah,
you.
because if, I mean, I don't know if you have noticed, but people who are drinking and then the others who are not drinking, you can see there's a big difference, you know. Because the consciousness gets altered immediately when we start drinking. And so we are not able to care for another person. We are not able to understand, empathize with another person. Then it's just about me and about how am I feeling.
Perfectly fine. Thank you.
Okay, so maybe we can stop here and chant one round.
Yes.
Srimad Bhagavatam Ki
Jai